Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sparklecity Sessions, live from downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina, at the Artists Co-op here. My name is Mark Rocco Dawson. I'm your host, and
my name is Tom Skonik, and I'm sitting in for Paul Topless, who's on assignment today.
Yes, he's out about town doing his townly things with his wife's father, so that's a good thing. And today we're with Jim Weber, who's a local ceramics extraordinaire. Thomas, what have you got?
Well, you see something different today because this is an episode directly from the pottery studio here at the, to be correct, Artists Collectiv
Collective, that's right.
Spartanburg. And Jim Weber is one of the artists here, and we'll leave it up to him to explain to us how he defines what he's doing.
I'd like to, let me interject something real fast. So, what got you into pottery?
I probably saw pottery the first time. Oops, I fell down. I probably saw pottery the first time I was too young to remember that I liked it. They had to remind me. They took me back. It was a demo at an early, mid-'60s arts festival, and early Furman graduate, Don Davis, was turning pots on the street with a kick wheel in 64 or 5, and I never looked back. I was probably going to not be a policeman or a doctor or any of those things.
Well, now, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I swear to God, I just assumed been a potter as anything from the time I was old enough to think about it. I was raised by creative folks who didn't shut us down.
Did they do pottery?
No, they did not, but they didn't stop me.
You liked the mud cakes when you was a kid, obviously.
Yeah. My mom's line for me in one of her poems about her kids was, how many changes of clothes, how many times a day? And I still suit that.
Well, I remember as a kid, we would... one of the great things was, this before the internet and all this other cool stuff, before video games. We would throw mud pies at each other. It's a mud pie war.
I had a creek.
Well, Jim can for sure say that he gets his hands dirty till now, even every day, probably.
I get in trouble when my hands are clean.
Yes. I wanted him to define on what his job description or his
the bottom, I have a tag that says Jim Weber Artist, and I made him rewrite it to Jim Weber Potter.
Okay.
Because pottery can be art, and probably anything.
Well, it's sculpture.
Taken to an extreme is artistic in nature. I come at clay more as an engineer than an artist. I just want to make pots.
Well, you're a sculptor.
No, I could have raced churns 150 years ago with the next guy over, and we'd talk about how many gallons we made.
Well, now, how many types of clay are there that you can use?
Oh man, so there are a lot of different suppliers these days. I bought equipment to mix my own clay, couldn't afford to. I was making better money making pots than making clay. So you get clay produced, ready to go, and use it. I probably went through tons of clay a year, 5-6 tons of clay a year, thousands of pieces each year.
Is the clay from this area better than most clay from other areas, or is it the red clay that's better, or the blue clay that's better?
So blue clay is going to burn white. It's an organic compound.
Okay, so you get a different kind of look with that.
It's going to be a porcelain type clay. But to answer your question, there's plenty. There's an area in North Carolina called Jugtown, Seagrove area. I explained to folks, and then there's also way out in the near the coast. There's Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is in the Sandhills. When Fayetteville was a beach, Seagrove was a mud puddle.
Okay.
All right. It was the residual. It was the place where everything piled up, slowed down, and the silt and everything fell out of the moving water.
So the blue clay is more of a mineral-rich clay.
It's a finer. It's less mixed with other things. No iron.
Okay, so it's a less mineral-rich clay.
Back to Thomas's question, I think he was curious about. I could use artisan, would suit me. Artist, not so much. I'm not doing anything particularly creative. I'm not doing anything particularly new. I do vessels and shapes that have been done for thousands of years.
I think one of the things that I wanted to point out was that question is that there are several artists out there that can make a pot or make a sculpture out of clay. Jim can make a whole dish set that goes together, and he can make the same pot or the same type of pot 200 times, and they look
very similar.
Very similar.
So I fed my family with making pottery, and I had to get good, and so I raced a clock with a sweep second hand. And I knew between throwing one ball of clay down and it thumping and another ball of clay down and it thumping that was one unit. In 100 units, I found out that you're really about the middle 75, okay? The first 10 are a dozen, you're getting ready. The last 10 are a dozen, you wish you were done. When you spread them all out, they look like little soldiers in a line. They're not all alike, but they're similar. And then I group them. But I didn't do it as an art form. I did it as a production business of how many of these can I make. I happen to be discerning in the design, and I've been fortunate to spend a lot of years putting skills together. So yeah, I've got fast and efficient.
Mm-hmm. So you, I know from you that you are actually out of a creative family. Your mom's side was a creative, and she was into advertising. I heard.
My mom was a writer and a publicist and an advertising specialist, award-winning. Her second son, my middle brother, my next older brother, is one of the country's hottest science fiction authors today. My sister is a full-time weaver dyer of cotton fibers. Does workshops all around the country. So David got called to West Point. He got to do a speech to the new plebes about space war because he's a science fiction
hey, that
author,
stuff's not far off,
and
man.
he uses real battles of the past sometimes to do it anyway. So yes, nobody shut me down.
You know, George Lucas sued him for using the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, they shaved some of the pretty facets off my mom when she, as in the 40s and 50s, and the way women were dealt.
Women just got to vote in the 60s, right?
Right. So she beat her way through that. When she walked in and was the sharpest mind in the room, she had to prove it every single time. And she did. But she taught my brother how to write. And when it came to me and making pots, she didn't say, well, you need to do this or that. She said, well, that's good. Go get good at it. As long as you get good at a thing, I figured out they'll let you keep doing it.
Yeah.
So by now, you're how many years at the collective?
I am 8+ years here at Collective. I started making pottery full time in 1984 as I finished my last years of training. I turned my first pot in 1971. Oh my God, 55, a long time ago.
Let me interject something real fast for first time potters out there. Since you just said turned your first pot.
Turned.
Let's talk about what would be a proper way to center your clay on a pot. Or on a wheel.
Well, let me first of all, I'll tell you an interesting about. You like words about the term turn. To turn is to twist. If you throw a pot, you twist it. If you throw a baseball game, you twist the results. If you throw your back, you twist your back. If you throw a pot, then you twist the pot. I always thought that was it. But most people have seen a drill bit, an actual drill bit for drilling a hole in wood, go into the end of a drill. There's 3 fingers that reach down in that drill chuck, that thing that tightens down, and they force the drill bit to the center, from 120-degree points of separation. You can center clay a lot of ways, but probably the most effective way is this 3-point touch where when you squeeze properly, the material is forced to the center of the wheel.
Like holding a baseball type kind of maybe?
Yeah, you have to center it depending on where you balance it in your fingers. So if you find that it's going too much to one side, you're probably not putting enough effort in on that side.
And to get it to stick without it flying, what do you do there?
You throw it on hard.
Throw it on hard? You don't.
Actually, there's a thing. Who knew? There's a thing for everything. It's science. And so there's a thing. So round balls have a larger impact area than an egg-shaped piece hitting on its point. If I throw an egg-shaped piece down point first, it's more likely to stick with the same force as the round one, because there's more impact on more pounds per square inch, whatever force on that. So yeah, there's seriously some physical action to answer every single thing you have to do.
Do you wet the wheel or do you wet the clay?
If you wet the wheel, it's slippery, then the clay comes flying off.
Okay, so wet the clay instead of the wheel. Make sure the wheel's dry before you do it?
People grab their next piece of clay and they got wet hands and they do this to it. They grab it all up and they get it round and they throw it down and they just wet it with their hands and made it slippery. So that just getting the clay to stick to the wheel is a good thing.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of science, a lot of experience, and
it's all science. And the problem is a lack of experience makes people believe they may not be suited,
or might not. Yeah.
And anybody can do it. Certainly, some people are more mechanically oriented than others, but anybody can make pots if they just don't quit.
Sure.
I could play with my guitar that I've had for 30 years if I just hadn't quit trying.
Well, I'll tell you, when my mom and dad would, how they'd take, when you're bad as a kid, they'd take your TV away or whatever. My mom and dad would take my guitars away and stuff like that, and the skateboards away. And so.
Did your mom take your
creek?
Your pottery wheel away?
Remember I said I had a creek. I didn't have those things. I think I was in a bad accident when I was a kid and broke a bunch of bones. And it may be that the first class was 3 or 4 years later, and they were concerned about the viability of my actual mechanical capacity. And when I expressed an interest, I only came across this notion the last few years. They thought, oh, that'd be good. That'd make him use his hands.
Now, let me ask one more thing, Thomas, and then you can get back on our schedule here. What type of glaze do you particularly like to use on pots?
Well, see, since I didn't do art, I just wanted to make pots. I would seriously let somebody else do my glazing for me. There was nobody else to do it. I wanted it to go away so I could do it again. Greens and blues, was it Sweet Baby James says, are the colors I'd choose. Greens and blues, one or the other, will go in almost everybody's home. So I came at this from a very particular...
An aesthetic point of view.
I didn't care what it looked like. I needed to sell it. I like brown. I couldn't sell brown. I quit doing it. I learned not to. But if I did blues and greens and reds...
Yeah, reds.
And purples and some of the tweeners, I could sell everything I made. And so I did. I don't know how many pots I made, tens and tens of thousands. I don't have any of them.
Well, that's okay.
I particularly like your reds and your blues.
They're all gone. And I have some in the cabinet, but so I have some time left to make more.
Now remember, Thomas, you got to stick kind of close to that mic when you ask questions.
Well, Jim, you brought out actually what was it, a 50-year anniversary mug?
I did. My 50-year mugs. Oh, that was that was enlightening. Took me 84 tries to produce 50 good ones. There you go. It was the bottom. It was the least I could put into the vessel. It was the most basic vessel I could make, and I messed up more than a third of them.
Well, but I wanted to point out this is 50 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. Nobody gets that long. Yeah. People say, "Well, how you get so good?" And I go, "Well, nobody stopped me." And then it's like, well, you're supposed to get good if you get 50 years. If you don't get good, someone will stop you. Right. And so what I figured out, and I went and I told thousands of kids in schools when I do my little gigs was, guys, if you get good at stuff, they'll let you keep doing it.
Oh, do you go to the schools around here?
I have not hooked up with the local schools as much, but
you have done it before.
Part of my gig was to go in and explain to people that it was okay to fail.
Yeah.
And the teachers would look at me like, "What are you teaching my kids?
This ain't the way we do soccer."
Yeah, no, it's a win, win, win. And so these poor kids, they're told all the time to win, win, win. And so what they're always doing is losing.
Well, I tell you,
they're always wrong.
That's a difference between English soccer and soccer over here. It's a cutthroat business over there, but over here, everybody gets a trophy for participating.
My son was a scrum master.
Oh, yeah,
and so
rugby.
A scrum master is the guy in computer programming.
Oh, okay.
That minds everybody's actions, and if the scrum ain't moving, he's supposed to go over and kick somebody in the knee and pat somebody on the back and move the batch because you can't afford for those guys to sit still.
Well, that's what they call a gathering around the ball on rugby.
Yeah.
And then they got the little fly guy running around the circle trying to get the ball out of there.
So he's the guy trying to make the ball go where it's supposed to go.
That's what it's supposed to do. That's supposed to move the ball down the field.
I didn't have a real aim except for to make traditional high quality stoneware vessels. I made cups, mugs, bowls, pitchers, plates, candle holders, goblets, oil burners. I'm sure I'm leaving. People think you make mugs. I do, but I made 5 bowls for every single mug, easily.
What is probably the biggest bowl that you've ever made?
I got upstairs a pretty good sized bowl. It may not be the biggest, but it's coming on 4 gallons. And I still like it. Oh, somebody said, "When's it done?" I said, "Well, if I've got it as far as I can go, and I still like it, it's done." And so some of the pieces I've done here, especially while I wasn't under the gun to produce hundreds or thousands of pieces, were some of the best work that I've done. And that big bowl upstairs is one of them.
Let me get back to your process for a second. What goes through your mind when you're thinking about throwing a new pot or any kind of vessel?
Since I always made things in a series of, I rarely did one-offs, so I was always doing multiples.
So you would have a whole line in your mind.
I'd have a notion that I was gonna make 3-quart pitchers or whatever, and they were going to have some varied shape, but not much, because it's difficult enough. You sort of aim for the same thing each time. You aim for something different. You're giving yourself another different opportunity to fail.
Now, do you do satin glazes as well? Do you?
Most of my glazes ended up being shiny, if that's what you're talking about, the glossy.
Yeah.
Most of them, that green one over there is sort of satiny, but part of a choice of glaze is how well it'll do the job. Plates need the satin to matte glazes are harder. They tend to leave silverware.
You can see more flaws in them too, can't you?
You can see the metal scrape when you get a dark line across a plate. You left metal from the knife there.
Is there anything about your process that is unique in the sense that you pretty sure that you're the only one that does it?
I have a lid that I do that.
Let me get this real quick.
That is probably original to me, and which is quite a statement in a lot of ways. Because pottery's been done pretty much in the way I do it for the last 5,000 or 6,000 years.
Yeah, that lid's more matte style. The lid's more matte style than it is.
It is, and I didn't do teapots like at all until I was a good 10 years into this. This one has I only numbered teapots. This is number 127. I made it last year. And so for years I made teapots the standard way. With a lid, it just drops in and out. And then somebody said, "Can you do this?" And I made a lid that you can. Oh my goodness!
Look at that.
It won't fall out.
I couldn't make.
You could pour your tea with that for sure.
But and so it turns on. Then it sits, and then it'll drop. So back to that 120.
Does it drop into the locking position? Or you got to twist it just a little bit.
Lift and turn.
Oh, look at that!
And you hear a little noise when it goes in.
And so the problem with teapots through the years is people lost the teapots. They would break and you'd lose them, and because you forget to hold it on when you tip it. And so this was sort of clever answer to that. It was actually requested as a funerary urn closure. I explained to the man that I couldn't possibly do it, and a half hour later he was still there, and I was telling him that it was going to be really hard if I could do it at all.
Yeah.
And so then I worked it out, and there's different ways to make lids stay on, but so far people I know who are well traveled and better educated in worldly history of pottery and such, nobody has seen that.
So in your process, you don't set out to make one pot. You set out to make multiples.
Oh yeah.
And how long does a single pot usually take you?
If I'm making soup salad bowls, I've got those. They're coming off the wheel every minute or so, minute and a half, 2 minutes.
That's fully shaped?
Yeah.
Ready for glaze in the kiln.
Small bowls are like boom, boom, boom.
What about a pot like that?
The teapot has a like.
That's a special shape.
You got to make the spout. You got to make the body. You got to make the handle.
Yeah.
You got to make the lid. These have to be very closely machined together so that they fit as well as they do.
You told me at one point that in the combination of a lid and a pot, that the lid is more difficult to make than the pot.
The handle's more difficult to make than the pot, like it's not. When I make a mug, the vessel itself was pretty simple. The handle, it was simple too, but it took 3 times as long. Yeah. So if they're both simple, then you're paying for how long it takes to make something.
You got to fix it.
It takes longer to make a handle and apply it than it does to make a mug.
And with the lid, you said something about it needs to fit the pot as close as possible.
I didn't make lidded forms as part of my production line because nobody wanted to pay me for the lid.
Yeah.
It was really then I'll tell you
that's time sensitive right there.
A very clever thing about the lid was I'd make the pot and then I'd try and make the lid to fit it. And somebody said to me, I just love it when somebody comes up and like they sort of they sort of slap you with a new way of doing something. They said, Jim, you should make the lid first. And I'm going,
no.
Yeah, I should. I'm going to make the lid first from now on because it's much easier to move the collar of the neck of the piece
than it is to the lid.
To change the lid.
Oh, yeah, because you can always add to the main piece, right?
So when you last long enough, you just keep gathering up information. And so, yeah. A lot of people make a bunch of lids, and then they make a bunch of pots, and then they see which ones fit.
So now, when you go to make your pots, do you decide, okay, I'm going to do nothing but plates today, or nothing but bowls today? Or
I'll start out with my smallest, easiest piece, and I'll progress through that and
get those knocked out, and then you go in the bigger stuff.
Same way I do my students. I want to succeed, and I build on my success is built on success. If I give myself my hardest chores to start and fail, that takes a little wind out of your sails. If I give myself the simple jobs and I keep winning, I can get through this.
It's like a kicker missing the field goal on the
And you
only get one shot.
Yeah.
You're not only selling here at the Artists Collectiv, you're selling.
I have sold all over the Southeast. Most of my pots went to North Carolina and Florida, even though I was living in Georgia for the most period of time. Tourist areas, there's a whole lot of tourist areas in the mountains and the coast of North Carolina.
Gatlinburg?
I didn't get to Tennessee. Didn't have to. I maxed out. I got to where it was more a matter of can I make more pots?
Yeah.
And so I kept streamlining and I started out with what I have 27 items and 5 different glaze combos. And you need like 130, 40 pieces to have one of everything.
Oh, wow. So all your SKUs, it would take 134 pieces.
If you had one of everything. And so I just got over it. And I got to 3. I used 3 glazes for like 10, 15 years, the same glazes over and over.
Well, they look great. Over. So I would, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
These are similar and different. But anyway.
Well, I like the one that's not on camera right now is...
that one has a reason. That's got a similar glaze. It's a red. But anyway, it's got a straight lid without about the.
We'll pull it over here in a minute.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I wanted to point out, I had on my list to ask you about the collaborations that you've done over the years. But one of the biggest collaborations is probably was in the family, right?
My wife has become a potter in her own right. She does surface work. She does art.
So she actually paints on the.
Sally's a clay artist. She carves, sculpts, and
little motifs
and paints. It's a
and some of it actually ends up on.
And we
on
have
your
done some
pottery.
collaborative pieces where I provide the form and then she does work. Matter of fact, some of our urns our urns that we're doing these days for both pets and people have the opportunity to have customization on the sides.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Sally has the capacity.
She could probably do a little portrait of the dog on there or something.
She could, it's amazing what people that are good at art can do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is.
I never gained those skills. I finally came to understanding that if two-dimensional representation of like drawing and painting was what I'd wanted to do, I'd have got around to it. But this is a very mechanical thing. This clay, it's a tactile, and it was me against the clay. I was probably one of those bouncy children. In school, they just called me bad.
Yeah. Bring the other one over, Thomas.
Probably was hard to keep me settled down. Jim, come out of that window.
Yeah.
Jim, come back to your desk. Jim Weber, quit speaking to those people over there.
Now, this is the one I was talking about, had the really unique glaze on it.
And it's got a pretty red and with a white overcast. It has just a standard lid. This is the way we did it. This is the way potters did lids forever.
Now, why don't you glaze the actual part that goes in like that?
The glaze is sticky when it's hot.
Okay.
So it's glass. It's really a glaze is a thin layer of colored glass, and it's sticky when hot. So if you don't have any glaze, the clay won't stick to itself. It's a more refractory material. It doesn't.
So any non-glazed part on the pot, is that
the reason this pot is still sitting here is because here are somebody, you asked me earlier about getting pots through the process and out. And I'm thinking, I have a good shot of getting them through the process. This is an excellent pot.
It is a beautiful
nice
pot.
Nice handles, good lid, and the glaze peeled off. I don't know if the camera can see it, but here and here, the glaze just let loose and it peeled away, and it ended up down here on the bottom, which is fine, but it's not here. That makes that a really nice second.
Yeah.
I can grind it down and reglaze it, and maybe this piece is worth that. Most pieces aren't worth that much effort.
But
that's a nice piece, though.
If it doesn't have a glaze like under the lid that doesn't mean that it's not food safe.
So clay is impermeable. It's vitrified. When it's vitrified, china means it's glassy inside. It's been fired to a point that the silica it makes up two parts of the glaze.
Nothing can get in it like that.
Yeah.
No moisture or whatever.
Right.
I mean, they use them for carrying water.
So for the longest time, we didn't have the Westerners couldn't make their kilns hot enough to make vitrified clay bodies that didn't seep. So the glaze was important to, among other things, it was a utilitarian finish just to make it easier to clean initially, but the Asian, the Chinese, and the Asian cultures, maybe 4,000 years ahead of the Western world, were getting high temperature kilns. They had the technology.
Well, yeah, they were making swords.
And when we got around to ships and planes and trains, all that information shifted. So around the world now, you can do whatever they did 3,000 years ago when they were the only ones that could do it.
I mean, yeah, they were probably the first at about everything, I'd say.
They were out there. They were out there on the edge.
Man, makes you wonder. We were talking earlier, Jim, and you said you were the only one in your family born in the South?
I am the only Southern-born son of a pair of displaced Yankees.
So does your sensibility of making pottery do you think it's more of a northern attitude or a southern attitude?
I'm totally a child of my surroundings as far as pottery goes. I was raised around. People weren't doing art pottery in the 60s and 70s. They were just starting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were, but they were still in college.
It was in certain areas.
They were still in college. They hadn't hit mainstream. The only people that had hit mainstream were potters who were making cups, mugs, bowls. And since I was about the process,
the grotesque guys were still doing pretty decent, weren't they?
There's a couple of guys. There's a guy in
the Georgia people were doing pretty good.
There was a guy from in Louisiana, Frank Orr, George Orr, and they called him the Crazy Potter.
Yeah, the Mad Potter.
The Mad Potter.
Yeah.
And he did art.
Yeah.
And then
he did the crazy grotesque faces. I think
all that the art movements, the Art Deco movements of the 40s and 50s.
So what's the difference between porcelain and regular, wouldn't that be considered porcelain?
This is a white stoneware, you'd call it, light colored, and it has it probably has 8 or 10 different constituent parts, and some of that is just material to make it melt at the right temperature. Porcelain is pretty much a one clay particle. It's it's a little bit more difficult, but it's a pure white clay. So there's things that happen with the glazes come out decidedly different. This white stoneware is not going to be the same as a white porcelain.
Do you get that clay, the porcelain clay, somewhere from a different place?
There's so many suppliers. There's 3 suppliers within 100 miles of me right now, or maybe 5.
Where you could make fine china out of it if you
sure, and the main thing is to choose a clay appropriate to what its job is going to be.
Sure.
I do.
Do you work with porcelain?
No, it's a little picky. The porcelain has a high shrinkage rate.
Okay.
And the things that make stoneware easier to manage have to do mostly with its varied particle size.
Okay.
You can imagine that all of one piece, there's might be less plasticity when you've got middle and small particles that fill in between the bigger pieces. Clay is good. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty versatile. I went to SCAD, so I was surrounded by all mediums, all styles, all types.
I got sent back to my wheel. I got chased out of drawing and printmaking. My potter, he was my pottery teacher. He said, Jim, go back to your wheel. Don't come back here. You're disturbing my serious students. And so I went and stayed at my wheel. And then, you know what? High quality resource. Don't forget we're sitting in the Artists Collectiv here.
Yep.
It's a resource. High quality resource leads to higher quality results.
Is this a nice place?
And that was the question that I wanted to lead to. Is so over 50 years behind the wheel, 8 years at the Artists Collectiv. What brought you to the Artists Collectiv?
I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know it was here. I drove by. I was on my way to.
You had nowhere to turn. You had nowhere to throw.
Dang! I should have done that on purpose.
That's a good shirt right there.
It is.
I've always got a place to turn.
Oh, I'm gonna keep that. Nowhere to turn. We were just talking about
nowhere to turn. That's right.
Oh, that's good. I'm not going to credit you a bit.
Don't do it. I don't want to.
Okay, we can't do this anymore. No. Kill the interview. Anyway.
So you look for a place where you have access to a kiln, and have access to a workspace,
a teaching space as well.
This place is the rare bird. There's not a lot of space like the Artists Collectiv anywhere. Honestly, I can't think of any place where, I don't believe there's any place else in the state where as much high quality local art is gathered together in one space. There's 20,000 square feet of art here.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. You couldn't get through this building in an hour if you were serious about looking. There's just no way.
If every artist in residence was here, or every artist that had a shop here was here, it would take you a day to get through everybody's stuff.
Right now, we've got the holiday artist market going on upstairs, and there's like 40 of our members. If you go to an art festival outdoors, you get a day or two to do it. All of December, Tuesday through Saturday till 4 p.m. and till 8 p.m. on Thursday. Place is open. You can come in. You can. Here's another thing: is what does the Artists Collectiv do for us besides give us some place? They take a fairly minor percentage for sales. Mm-hmm. I couldn't go do a show on the street and get as much out of the price tag. I make more on the pots I sell through the Artists Collectiv because they underwrite my costs as part of being part of this fine group. It's what we do here.
Yeah.
We help each other out.
And Sparklecity Sessions is going to be your guys' go-to podcast when you want to promote stuff around here now too.
There you go. We're going like this.
And
when I was a kid, we were bad. We laughed. We said Sparkle City, ha ha ha. And you know what? It's worth millions now.
Well, yeah. Well, Spartanburg does over $1 billion a year in revenue.
You know what? I'm just like eat those words.
And
I was a mean child.
The film industry's coming to this area more and more and more because I guess California is just too crazy with taxes and everything right now.
And because Georgia has no taxes.
Yeah, and
on their production.
They're shooting a movie right now in Glendale, Glen Springs.
And the rumor is that actually a piece of art from the Artists Collectiv is going to be in the movie.
Oh, and I wonder whose art that is.
Won't be mine.
It might be somebody here that we're talking to, but Jim's already said it ain't him, and I know it ain't me.
Nobody approached me. Oh, yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Well, I wanted to go back and on to you've done collaborations with your wife, but have you done with any of the bigger name potters or anything or is it more learning from each other than it is collaborating?
The internet is just amazing.
Yeah.
I have two pottery groups, forums that I'm members that I'm a part of online, Pottery Heads and Clay Buddies. And there are like 140,000 potters there now. Probably 3/4 of them are the same. So there's 80 or 100,000 potters that you can have. When I was coming up, I was 200 miles from my guru.
Oh, wow.
And long distance was 60 cents a minute.
Yeah, that's right. I remember all that.
I failed miserably. I lost a third of everything.
Couldn't talk to anybody after 8 o'clock.
My first kiln load, I totally lost a third of the pots. I remember being glad when I only lost 10%.
Well, now, was that because the kiln was too high or too low? Or
there's so many.
Because the kiln's got to be a certain temperature too, right?
So many factors. And so many factors.
Well, all right, so here's another question. Does the kiln have to be a different temperature for different clay?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And different duration of firing and
curing and all that.
And different ways you can do it. Gas kilns are different than electric kilns. Okay. The electric kilns are where beginners will almost certainly go because you can plug one into your house with just a little bit of effort.
That's what they were using for the glass kiln out in Boston when I was learning how to blow.
The big gas kilns and wood-fired kilns are beasts, and they're a blast, and you get different kinds of results, but they're beasts, and there's a high labor input.
Usually when you fire up the kiln here at the collective, it's not only your work that's in there, right? So
since we're a collective and there's racks behind me with multiple members work on, we generally do mixed loads of individuals. When I'm in drive mode, I'll fill more kilns up with just my own work because I make a lot of pots.
But at the end of the day, everybody wants to save some energy, so things from different artists go all at the same time in the same kiln.
We have one,
and everybody looks out for each other.
Yeah, we have a studio manager in here who's in Chuck Bishop who keeps everything moving. Bless his heart, and God grant him a long life, because it's hard work to keep all these people
So
together.
where do you? I mean, so do you make? So in your process, when you make stuff for people, or when you're making it for the marketplace, like, do you? Is it on consignment? Does somebody get to you and go, "Hey, I want some pots" or
Either
something like
or.
that?
Mostly, I make what I want.
So when you put stuff online, that is just it's like stuff that you've just did. There's no fixed number that you're going to put on there. It's just whatever you've done. And that's it.
I don't do pottery as a business
Okay.
like I did for 30 years.
So you've cooled it down.
I'm not quite retired. People that made pottery for a living
Okay.
may not have the capacity to sit back and enjoy their 401ks.
So when a pot goes online, then that's it goes online and that's it.
When it's gone, it's gone.
There's no there may be another one coming. There might not be.
I'll do a series of almost
Okay.
always have a series of pieces, and then I do some pieces that are total individuals, and I got in the years I have in front of me, I'm less interested in doing more mugs and small bowls,
Sure.
and more interested in doing signature pieces,
Major pieces like
that
this.
people would look at and would say, "Oh my goodness, look at that!"
Yeah.
It's one thing to make a great mug.
So
but
as
lots
the
of people can
clay
make a good
shaper
mug.
that you are, is teaching part of it?
It has been, and I'm a better potter for it because having to answer everybody else's questions and problems makes you understand the process better. Clay shaper, I sort of stole clay shaper. I was trying to decide what we were going to name our new gallery school in Middle Georgia. We'd just gotten a downtown street corner in a small southern town, and old building, and I was thinking the mud pie, Potter's Pocket, the clay corner. I was going, these are terrible. And I just read a book where one of the characters, it was an Arthurian novel where the future boy king gained his greatest wisdom in the craft halls. And he made a sword, and he made his own cloak, and he worked with Anlock Clay Shaper. Anlock Clay Shaper, who oftentimes forgot where his arms ended and his pottery began. And I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I am totally naming this place Clay Shapers."
Wow.
So Clay Shaper.
That sounds like some college kids I knew in SCAD.
So are you still teaching, or
I'm teaching right now over at the a senior center in Greenville nearby, and I have taught at the art museum up here in Spartanburg.
Let me ask you something about the senior
We
center.
don't teach here specifically at the collective.
So at the senior center, does that help? Does the clay help relax the mind and all that stuff? Does it? Say you got somebody that doesn't quite think as clearly as they used to. Does it help clear them up? Does it? I mean, does the act of the Zen working?
Probably not.
You know,
I wish I could
haven't
say
said.
it. I wish I could say it did. Some people it does, and it's
You
just
would
like
have to a little bit, if not a lot.
So seniors come in with a lifetime of having done things and likely done them well.
Yeah.
And they don't do brake jobs because that's not what they did well. And they don't paint or do sheetrock or houses because that's not what they did well. They don't make pottery because that's not what they did well. When they come in and they hit pottery and they're really, really, really bad at it,
Yeah.
It hurts their feelings.
Well, you know.
And maybe more if you're a 9-year-old. Every single day you lose, you got something. You're wrong all day long. And if you get it right, they give you something else new to be wrong about. So little kids are easier to teach than adults. I'm sorry, adults. I'm proud for you, little kids. And if I do parent-child workshops, many times the 8 and 9 and 10-year-old kids outshine their parents for the first time in their lives. And it's a fair match because they both come in with nothing in their hands.
Well, tiny hands, I think, probably.
You know what? Big. My dad had twice the mass. His hands were massive compared to mine, and they get in the way.
Big hands get in the way of pottery?
It's totally doable. But you have to figure out how to accommodate yourself, but piano.
Is that why the kids are better at it?
Piano fingers are, big, long and lean really helps. There's reach. Now, does that say if No, I have people that come in, even with some people. I've even had people survive with fingernails. Mostly the nails got to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had people keep their nails and quit their pottery class.
Thomas, we're coming to the end of our time, I think.
Yes, we are.
Let's get our final questions in. How about it?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't put it on a question, but Jim is here most of the time at the Art Walks. Art Walks are always the third Thursday of the month, all year long. So Jim's going to be here. If you're interested in pottery, come here, ask him questions. He's happy to answer the questions and show you something new. The other artists here, but specifically the people that do pottery down here
Third
are going to be
Thursdays
here, and it's really an interesting situation for anybody who wants to learn anything about art.
Third Thursdays are great here. We probably have half to 2/3 of our members show up every third Thursday. So you got a really good shot of talking to the artist of your choice. Who you might be interested in. But it's just a fun time when this place is full and people walk around.
We're going to start podcasting some of the third Thursdays. I think we're going to start this third Thursday. We're going to be
got
here.
2 great shows upstairs. 3, counting besides the Holiday Artist Market, a.k.a. HAM. I have it on the authority of an art expert who's a friend of mine, that those are 2 of the best exhibits he's seen in quite a while. Not just here, he doesn't get here much, but just he really appreciated the quality of their work.
So please come out. Third Thursday's coming up, and we're. I'll send it back to Mark.
Okay, so let me ask you one more thing, and then we'll close out. Where can people get your stuff? Where do they look for it? Where can they find it?
So here, my only real retail outlet right now is here at the Artists Collectiv, which is what is that?
It's
5.
The easiest for me to explain it is it's the church, the former church after the Coca-Cola building on West
They could
Main
just
Street.
look it up online. And they do have an online. Maybe they could get online and they could get in touch with you through the website.
But
Does it have photos of your work on the website?
I'm sure there probably
Some
are.
of it, yes.
And then Clay Shaper Jim Weber.
Yeah.
On Facebook is the only other place I've managed to get
And the
myself
important
out.
thing that people need to remember is that we're not only working artists here, we are also selling art here.
That's right.
That's the important part. If you looking for something out of the ordinary, come here and you find it doesn't matter if it's photography, if it's print, if it's jewelry, paintings.
You want it for your wall or
You
your
want something
house.
custom, you can come
ceramics.
here.
There is not a better selection of quality art in the state.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Sparklecity Sessions podcast here live from the Artists Collectiv in downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's been brought to you by the Hub City Music Society, and the Freight Yard are sponsoring this podcast as well. So we like to thank them. We didn't get to plug them through the session, but that's okay. They know who they are, and we know who we are. So,
Most days.
most days. So I'm Mark Rocco Dawson, and this has been...
I'm Thomas Koenig.
filling in for Mr. Paul Topless, and we've been talking to Mr. Jim Weber. And we'll catch you on the flip-flop.
Thank you.
See you next time.